What is up, everyone? We have another UFC card to break down from a DraftKings DFS perspective. This weekend's card being headlined by Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier, and the co-main event of Paulo Costa versus Strickland. Both fights are 5 rounds, so you got two fights right off the bat that are very hard to avoid. And overall, we have a 12-fight card, which means that we're going to need to look for you know, upside as always, but if there's any major line value, it has to be considered on a small card like this. But it's not the main priority. It's always looking for upside, look for the grapplers, look for the finishers, and preferably find fighters who can do both of those things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start from top to bottom. We'll start with the main event. Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. 5 rounds. Islam a massive favorite, 6-1. And he is 9.5K, which makes sense as far as the pricing goes. Dustin Poirier coming back at 6.7K. This is a fairly easy fight to break down from a DFS perspective. I think both sides are viable. Islam is clearly the better play. He's winning the fight 80% of the time. He has grappling upside, finishing upside, all the things you're looking for. But when it comes to ownership, Islam's going to be high owned. He's going to be 40+% owned. And for that reason, Poirier comes into play. On the other side, when he wins, I don't want to say 100% of the time when he wins, but a lot of the time he wins, he's going to make the optimal lineup, which means you can't just ignore that. So I'm going to get to Poirier, not a lot, maybe 10% Poirier, in my opinion, is a good number there. Or maybe you could match to his win odds, so like 15%. I don't want to get a lot of him, but he definitely is in play here for the 150 max. So I'm going to put Islam as an elite play, and Poirier is like a fringy MME only play for me. Up next, we have Grant Dawson versus Joe Solecki. Okay, so you got two grapplers. A bunch of money has come in on Grant Dawson. And taking it at face value, it's very hard to play Joe Solecki here. For starters, he's plus 450 to win, which is not great. And where's his upside? Where's his upside? He's non-existent ITD line, and he's going to be getting grappled the whole time, and he's probably going to be the one on the defensive. So where is his output coming from? I think Joe Solecki is a really tough play to get behind this week, and I think Grant Dawson, good line value, grappling path to victory as he does in all of his fights. His ITD line is not amazing, but listen, he's going to be a lot lower owned than Islam, that's for sure. He's probably going to be lower owned than Hafez. So as a pivot play, a guy that grapples, I'll take a chance on that. I'll take a chance on Dawson, as I guess I'll call him a fine play. But he's certainly a viable pivot in my book. And for single entry, I think he's viable as well, just because of the line value and the grappling path. I think Grant Dawson fits into a lot of lineups as a relatively good play. And then, yeah, Joe Solecki, I just think it's a fade in my opinion. 150 only. If you get to him, you get to him, but he just seems like a very weak play to me. Basel Hafez at 9.2K and a healthy minus 370 money line favorite. Mickey Gall on the other side is plus 300. And I think Basel Hafez looks pretty good here. He's got grappling upside. I think his finishing line will, minus 110. It's not bad. So I think Hafez looks like a good play here with the potential to put up a lot of points. And Mickey Gall on the other side, 7K flat, plus 500. It's not great, but it's not the end of the world. It's not non-existent, but it's not great. So I think Hafez is a good play, and I think Gall is just a really fringy MME play only for me. Okay, then we have Jailton Almeida, Alexander Romanov. This is a very key fight here, I think. I think the winner can score extremely well. You have two guys who grapple, two guys who are heavyweights and carry with them pretty decent finishing ability. And let's go ahead and take a look at the IATD lines. Minus 160, plus 340. I like it for both guys. And the combination of whoever wins is probably because they're able to get their way. They're able to really impose their grappling on the other one. So it just, to me, it screams a very high scoring fantasy environment. And It's pretty simple. That's it. Just both sides of it look very good to me, and I will be targeting both pretty heavily. Okay. Up next, we have Kevin Holland versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Kevin Holland minus 280. Money lines seem about right. And Holland minus 125 ITD line, 9K flat. It's good. And Mikhail Oleksiejczuk plus 350 at 7.2K. I another fight where I think both sides look to be pretty good here. Up next, we have Alex Morono versus Nico Price. I think this is a great DFS fight to target on both sides. I think someone will most likely get knocked out here and put up some points. That's really all I have to say about it. Let's just plus 350, plus 130. ITD lines look good. I like violence in this one. I'll take both sides of this. Then we have Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. Okay, so 5 rounds, like we said. It's just a very good fight on both sides. I do want to say that I believe Costa is the better overall play, just because even if he does lose, there's a very good chance that he makes it all 5 rounds, and you're going to get a ton of points from him even in that. Let's see. His 5-round loss versus Vettori, he put up 73. And if he does something similar here, even 50 points, 50 to 70 points in a loss at 7.4K, that could be value right there, even without the win. Not to mention he has finishing upside, and he also has obviously very good upside in a decision win. There's just Costa is one of the best plays on the slate, dollar for dollar, in my opinion. So I do like that side a bit more, I guess, overall. But both sides, there's not really any in-depth analysis here. Both sides are going to look good, and the winner should score 100 plus. Aylin Perez, Jocelyn Edwards. Jocelyn Edwards plus 165, 7.5K. Okay, I guess there's maybe a touch of line value on Edwards, but where's the upside? Where's the upside with Jocelyn Edwards? She's pretty much a pure striker. Aylin Perez is the grappler in this matchup. Pretty atrocious ITD line. Same with Perez. But when you have two fighters that look pretty bad to finish, the one that has the grappling upside is just going to be the better play, and that's Aylin Perez. So I don't really like either side of this fight, but if I have to choose, it's going to be Aylin Perez is kind of an okay play, hopefully at low ownership too. There's just too much grappling upside for me to completely ignore the Perez side here. And I think Edwards is, I guess, if you're playing single entry or something like that, or a smaller field contest where you don't need the optimal lineup to win, maybe Edwards is more of a good play there. But for the pure MME, it's just really hard to see Edwards have the upside needed to take down the big tournament. Andre Lima versus Raposo. This is your value spot of the card. You got Andre Lima minus 270, and he's only 8.6K. Not to mention, he has a decent ITD line as well. I think Andre Lima looks like a pretty elite play here as far as just the metrics go. But then on the other side, I think this is actually a really key fight because Mitch Raposo, plus 750 ITD, really bad. Lion value, plus 230, really bad. But the thing is, I believe that his win condition in this fight is going to come via the wrestling. So if, in fact, he wins, I think Mitch Raposo will score well. And because of that, despite all the bad metrics, I think the grappling upside and the overall leverage you'll get by playing Raposo against Lima makes it a good play. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Raposo is actually one of the key leverage spots this week. Randy Brown, Zaleski dos Santos. Nothing really sticks out here. You got Randy Brown, who's a long point striker. He does have some knockout ability, but it's not his specialty, I would say. And you got Oleksiejczuk dos Santos. kind of an older veteran. The ITD lines don't look too great on either side. I guess the one thing that this fight has going for it is that it's in the mid range. I guess Oleksiejczuk Santos 7.7K is a decent underdog that maybe has the possibility of upside. I don't even know. I think this. I think I'll just call this fight okay on both sides. I don't really know what to make of this one, to be honest. Then we have Jake Matthews versus Philip Rowe. Jake Matthews has some potential grappling upside, but it's not the most reliable thing in the world. His ITD line is fringy. Same with Jake's. I think this fits the same bill as the Randy Brown fight. It's just okay on both sides here. Next, we have Roman Kopylov, Cesar Almeida. Should be a kickboxing fight. You got two guys from a kickboxing background going at it here. And it's right smack dab in the mid-range, which is usually a great fight to target. This 8.2 and 8K fight is almost always a great fight to target. And you have a tiny bit of line value on Cesar Almeida at 8K being the slight favorite in this matchup. And the finishing lines look pretty good for both fighters. So I think this fight, the combination of it being in the mid-range, having good metrics, all of that stuff, make it a good fight to target on both sides. And if the projections end up getting to way too much Almeida relative to Kopylov, I think Kopylov might actually be the better play here, because if the projections, which are very biased towards the medians and the win odds, get to a ton of Almeida, then Kopylov, I think, will show up as very low owned. So yeah, I guess both sides look good. For the pure metric side, Almeida is maybe a touch better, but if he gets over owned, then Kopylov is probably the overall better play. So I think that's it. Is there anything else I want to talk about on this card? I guess not really. You got 12 fights, 2 5-rounders, so it's going to be very hard to get unique. If there is a 5-rounder to fade, I do think. I mean, you're really hoping for something here, but it would be the Islam fight, just because it does look like the median projection is faced right around this like early round 3 finish. And again, like, you're just guessing that the finish happens in that exact round, which is, even if the median projection is looking like that, it's still unlikely. So once again, you're really reaching here. But if it does finish in the 3rd round and Islam wins and puts up 95 points, and the rest of the slate has a ton of upside, then maybe you can get away with that. Maybe Islam doesn't make the optimal lineup. I guess that's the angle I would play if you do want to fade one of the 5-rounders. The Strickland Costa fight, the pricing and everything just makes it seem like it's too good to fade. I mean, both these guys are 100 plus. It's 8.8K and 7.4K. I think that fight is a lot tougher to fade. And if you are going to try to do one, I guess it's the Islam fight. But besides that, yeah, pretty simple, I guess. Just look at ownership, use the sim tools, whatever you do, make your own judgment calls. And if you have any questions or anything like that, I'll be happy to answer them in the DFS PhD Discord. But that'll do it for this video. Best of luck, everyone. I'll see you guys in the next one.